Now, the style of Rococo is first realized in the Hotel de Soubise, but that implies that there's a lead up. Of course, there's a lead up. It's not like one day Germain Buffon woke up and was like, oh, I have it, that's it. So I'm going to now pull back and I'm going to show you how other various elements are coming together to create this Rococo style, like in painting. This is by Watteau, and it's titled The Pilgrimage to Cythera, or The Return from Cythera. Art historians, we love to argue, and we can't agree on the official or appropriate title. Either they are on their way to Cythera for the first time, or they're returning to it after various visits. Where? Cythera. Cythera, you don't know what Cythera is? Obviously. Cythera is the magical sacred island of love that Aphrodite, goddess of love and sex, used to take her lovers. Oh, wow. And what we have here is a group of beautifully dressed, elegant people, and they have arrived on the island on this elaborate boat, just covered in flowers and angels. And oh, look at these cupids, these little baby gods of love. They just fly through the air in front of us as we gather around. Now, the argument being, are they leaving the island right now? Have they just arrived and they're taking in the view from the water? We see some couples here that look like they're getting up, so maybe they've spent the day and they're now going home in this elaborate barge. Okay, cool. So they just spent a day on the island of Cythera, the island of the goddess of love and sex. Oh, and there's a statue of her. And it looks like they've decorated it with these beautiful flowers. And it's just a lovely day, you know, just a mythical island that we're all gathered around. I like these details a little bit better here. Pastel color palette. Yep, look it. Everybody is dressed in their finest. There's no worry about mud or snagging your satin tights on any twigs or branches or bushes. There's no concern about bugs or gnats or anything like that. And look at soft pinks, pale seafoam greens. Oh, everything is just alive and beautiful and lush. There's quite literally love in the air. They are tumbling in and around us. Look at the sky. It's just these soft puffs of purple and pink and blue and oh, is that a mountain? Is that sky? Oh, we're just supposed to take it all in like these lovely rich people. Now, when Watteau presented this to the Art Academy, remember, Louis XIV had set up the Royal Academy of Fine Art, or the École des Beaux-Arts, School of Fine Arts, and the school under Poussin had made these rules about what was good art and what wasn't, right? Poussin was like, grand style, grand people. And there were categories like history painting, portrait painting, still lives, landscapes. And where does this fit? It's not a genre scene because genre, no, it's not real people doing real things. It's a mythical island. It's not a history painting because it's a myth. And it's not like any specific myth about Aphrodite. It's just people hanging out on her island. Okay, it's not portrait. It's not official portraits of anybody. It's definitely not a still life. And it's a landscape, but again, it's a mythical landscape. So the Academy was like, Watteau, we love this piece, but we don't know how to categorize it. And we need to categorize things to understand if it's good or bad. So they made a new category. The new category is the fête galante. There it is. And that's your next vocabulary term. A fête galante. It's an amorous party depicting the outdoor amusements of upper class, society, and usually featuring elegant couples engaged in flirtation and conversation in a park-like setting. Well, that's exactly what we see here. We see amorous love, yep, a party of love. Can't get any more party of love than hanging out on the island of love. And it looks like, look at this couple here. I love them. They look like they've sat down in front of this statue of Aphrodite, and she's looking down upon them, and he's whispering something, and she's blushing. Oh, who's this? This little kid? That's not just any little kid. He's got arrows. That's Cupid. Look at, here's another Cupid has hung up his bow and arrow, maybe? Or, oh, I don't know. There's a skin attached to that, a leopard skin. What is this? The leopard skin, it could be Artemis. Artemis is a hunting goddess who was known to be a virgin goddess. No man could take her. She left her arrow and bow and arrows by Aphrodite. Oh, so the woman who's like, no, you can't have me. Now she's listening. Back to this being a fête galante, that kind of amusement. And then upper class all the way. These people are not dressed like peasants. They are dressed in the very elegant and fashionable attire. And as I said, they're just engaged in conversation. In this park-like setting, what do I mean by that? Well, look at how lush and grand it is. It's so full of greenery and this lushness, this jubilant display of greenery. It just kind of adds to the splendor of love and passion and fertility. Look at the color of those roses. If we think about iconography, roses are often symbols of romance, and these are pale pink, blushing, like maybe the blush of a cheek or innocence in love, right? And then notice how the statue almost looks like it's alive and looking down at this young couple. She's very kind of smiling. Keep in mind that in Rococo works of art, the statuary is often helping you understand the message or the meaning or the sentiment of the painting. So always look at statues in Rococo pieces because they sometimes are reacting in a way that they want us to react. So here, Aphrodite, we're supposed to be like, young love, oh la la. And it's lustful. It's lustful love because check it out. Where's my detail again? Where did it go? I guess I'll just have to zoom in. Look at that dog. In terms of iconography, dogs are symbols of faithfulness, right? Think of dog as man's best friend. Dogs that are small are also symbolic of passion because remember we talked about this with the Venus of Urbino. Dogs are faithfulness and small dogs are passionate little feisty things, right? So we have this feisty, faithful passion between these couples. Ooh la la. If and when you do a Google search of Watteau's pilgrimage to Cythera, you may come across a different image, and that's okay because he made two copies. This copy was so popular and so beloved that he was asked to make a second one, and it is now in Berlin. Remember, this is before you could digitally scan and easily print out a high resolution. So the first one is in the Louvre, and the second version was for the oh goodness, what's his name? I think it was the Prince of Prussia, Friedrich II. And it was for his palace in Berlin. And you can see there's slight differences here. The statue's a little different, the barge is a little bit more elaborate. This is just because Watteau is like, you know, I did this here, I think I want to mix it up, try something different with this one. So we have two pilgrimages to Cythera. This is the one that's in your textbook. I will close out the Watteau by pulling back our argument of form versus color that we talked about last class. Remember, Poussin said, form, that's more important than color. And then we said, Rubens says, no, color helps you move through the composition. And Lorraine was like, it's both, it's form and line, it's both. With Rococo, it's also about both. It is seen in the colors, the soft color palette, but look at the hidden line work. Look at this hillside as it tumbles up and around. That's an arabesque. If you don't believe me, I'm going to draw it for you, just to prove a point. Here we go. We could see this here. Look at these angels. They seem to, or these cupids, they seem to tumble in an arabesque form. Look at this tree. It seems to move and collapse in on itself. All of these arabesque lines here are just as important as the color palette. So the Rococo is an argument for both form and color.